Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASX Investor channel. We are very excited to be bringing to you our next ASX CEO interview. And today we'll be talking about all things deep technology. It's a really exciting space. We're welcoming to the channel Dr. Mohammad Choucair. He's the CEO of Archer Materials. They're a company playing in the advanced materials space. They're looking to develop the next range of semiconductors. They've got exciting spaces such as quantum computing, biochip. Today we'll be unpacking and discussing all of that. It's, of course, an innovative space that there's a lot of questions about what does it mean? What's the opportunity ahead? So today we'll be speaking about it all. Welcome to the channel, Dr. Mohammad Choucair.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. I think a great place to start might be to give that overview initially about who Archer Materials is and what are the problems that you're trying to solve.
So we are a company that's listed on the ASX, and we've been listed for a good 10 years plus now. And we are a deep tech company. We are evolving, and this evolution has been taking place over the last, I would say, 3 years. We had beginnings as a junior mining company, so you will notice that we are kind of selling and commercializing our tenements, and we're in the stage of completely selling our legacy assets. So well and truly a deep tech company building advanced semiconductor devices that are relevant to quantum computing and biotechnology.
It's an exciting space, and I think a lot of people have heard of quantum computing. Of course, it's a phrase that's thrown around, but did you want to distill what quantum computing actually is and what is the opportunity that it unlocks?
It just depends on how deep you want me to get into the technicalities, right? Just on a surface level, quantum computing represents the next generation of powerful computing. It really is absolutely phenomenal. 10 years ago, if you said to me quantum computing, I'd probably be like, yeah, build one. But the reality is there are quantum computers already built today. They work, they crunch algorithms, they give you results. And a key example of that is we are part of the IBM Network, the IBM Quantum Network, where we have access to real quantum computers. But quantum in itself is new technology, right? It's not the existing silicon-based, transistors and, building more and more transistors, Moore's law, things like this. I mean, you really have to shelf this. Okay? In order to understand quantum computing, you really need to let go of the past. This really does represent a paradigm shift in computing. Essentially, quantum computing uses quantum mechanics to do the information processing. And the unique thing here as well is that it's not fixed to any one particular type of architecture. In other words, if we break it down even further, we're not completely reliant on, Boolean logic and transistors and things like this. So we really have to, think about quantum computing as a completely different type of computing.
That makes sense. And I guess that obviously draws us then to the 12CQ, your flagship chip, able to provide hopefully quantum computing at room temperature and also onboard onto the everyday devices that we all use. We'd love to hear about, firstly, how the progression is going and also what that could mean for consumers on the day-to-day and other companies.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. Let's start technical if you like. We could start really at the technical level because sometimes I just want to dispel this kind of myth that you work at your qubit can work at room temperature. It has the potential to be integrated on board modern electronics. Well, some people may say, well, yeah, my computer works at room temperature and I already have modern day devices. I mean, so what, right? Well, in quantum computing, this is an astounding proposition. I mean, to be able to say that you have a technology, a qubit and materials that can, potentially operate at room temperature and integrate onboard devices. And that's essentially, we're building a chip that would go into your devices, right? A quantum computing chip. That's absolutely astounding today, right? And we do have to take that proposition together. We don't want to deconstruct it. We don't want to say, oh, it's room temperature operation or by itself, because there are quantum computers and quantum computing architectures and qubit architectures that can work at room temperature. And there are others that may potentially be integrated into devices. However, taking the two together is really profound, and it represents a real opportunity, like you said, for consumers and businesses. Obviously not tomorrow and not in the next 6 months. This is deep tech, and there's a a little way to go, but we firmly believe that the rewards of this are profound.
As you mentioned, there is still some time to go, but you're in the midst of this research and development phase. I've heard you previously speak about opportunities in the cybersecurity and the autonomous technology space. To help conceptualize it for some of the viewers, did you also want to speak about the potential other opportunities that some of these chips may present if they do come through?
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that there are hundreds of algorithms out there, many more. It's a large number. Okay, we're not reinventing the wheel here. The reason why we build processor chips, quantum processor chips, is so that we can run quantum algorithms that can show speed ups or more efficiencies over classical algorithms or classical computing, right? We're not talking about completely disrupting and removing and going away with modern day computing. This is not what we're talking about. So Archer is focused on building the chip. Now, there are applications where we see and we believe that having a chip, a quantum computing chip on board your device, to have a quantum powered device, could be really beneficial. For example, in autonomous systems, in your mobile devices. I mean, of course, that translates to the retail space and businesses and customers and consumers. So there are many, even if I just mentioned those two areas, and even if I just mentioned autonomy, autonomous systems, AI and consumer tech, that in itself, really shows you the depth and broadness of the application that a mobile quantum computing chip would have. I mean, we can go into other areas like cybersecurity and applications in space and whatever you want. But ultimately, we're building a chip, and when we get it right, having this chip on board modern day devices means you can really realize the potential of quantum computing.
I can see your face light up when you talk about these things. What is it that gets you so excited about it? Why does it keep you getting out of bed each morning to really continue to push towards this mission?
Yeah, absolutely. The motivation, I have to say, getting out of bed every morning and coming to work and working at Archer is easy for me, because the motivation there is that we are truly working on technologies that have the potential to make a global impact on the lives of millions of people. This is a rare opportunity to have. And to be able to be part of this solution, to be contributing technologies that can have an economic impact on the lives of many, many people around the world, and to work on these technologies that can shift entire economies. Right? We're talking about, real enabling technologies where, look, take for example, our quantum computing processor chip that we're developing, right? There are only a handful of companies in the world that have patent portfolios and that actually are working on building the hardware, this processor, the brain of the quantum computer, in the world. And Archer is one of them, right? Take our Biochip, for example. We are miniaturizing traditional laboratory functions onto a chip where we've already showed, in a span of 6 months, we've showed that we can go from, basic graphene sensors that have been printed, one sensor in a square centimeter, to millions using nanofabrication techniques here in Sydney, in Australia. Having that end state, knowing that your technologies could leave a legacy, is truly motivational, not just for me, but for all our staff at Archer. And it's just wonderful to be a part of.
Truly is incredible to hear you speak about it. And of course, you are really on the forefront of this next generation market. You're helping to develop it. Of course, Archer is part of the IBM Quantum Network. Would love to hear your thoughts firstly on what this network provides to you, and also the current space of quantum computing and how that's been evolving over the past period.
Yeah, look, absolute delight to be part of the IBM Quantum Network. It's a global network made up of Fortune 500 companies, national research labs, startups, you name it. It's the best of the best, and people working and organizations working together to really enable the widespread adoption of quantum computing. It's absolutely fantastic. The resources at our disposal and the teams that we work with are absolutely wonderful. To get down to the technicalities, we envision using Qiskit as our programming language, our programming stack, our software. I mean, we're not, like I said, we're not in the game of building a full stack solution. You know, IBM's done some incredible work in that space, and we also have access to real quantum computers as well. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't start experimenting with our own algorithms, which we have, and we've started to, for example, with teams like Max Kelson, who are also part of the IBM Quantum Network, you know, an AI and big data firm up in Queensland. So look, absolutely amazing to be part of the IBM Quantum Network. We were the first Australian company building a qubit processor chip to join the network, to be invited to join the network, and it's just been a wonderful relationship since.
Just that alone is enough to keep you busy. But of course, you were also working on this Biochip, the lab on a chip. It's an incredible step forward potentially for medical diagnostic space. Did you want to speak about what that is and the opportunity that you see on that side as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we work in some of the most amazing facilities in the world. You know, I really hope that one day you can come along and you can have a look, right? I mean, it will be absolutely wonderful to show you. It just puts things in perspective, the scale. We have access to, you know, a semiconductor prototype, foundry here in Sydney that was built not long ago, and $150 million facility. And we have access to other facilities nearby here in Sydney that are part of this semiconductor chain, right? We have to build devices. And, you know, all in all, we have, you know, access to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deep tech infrastructure. Absolutely wonderful. What that means is, you know, we don't necessarily have to build this infrastructure, and we don't, you know, and we get to really stay here, right? And what that means is we can hire some, you know, incredibly talented people, people that have skills in nanofabrication, in quantum computing, biotechnology, biology, chemistry, material science, engineering. Pardon me, engineering. You know, it just puts a lump in my throat, right? That get to work under this one roof, right, and really get to utilize this semiconductor process, right? The biochip that we're building, and the reason why I gave you that context is because our devices aren't a million miles apart, right? We have cross-functional skills in-house. We use the same instruments. So, you know, it's absolutely wonderful that we're in a position to be able to explore such an important challenge globally, right? And again, lab-on-a-chip devices, they represent a real paradigm shift in medical diagnostics, and a wonderful opportunity to do something good with technology in the world. Likewise, with quantum computing, a real enabler, you know, of solutions to some of the biggest problems today, the biggest challenges today. So, you know, building a lab-on-a-chip device is really exciting for us.
You've touched on it there. It's the network, it's the capabilities, it's the knowledge that you've got in-house. Of course, you're trying to help drive this semiconductor movement in Australia. Would love to just hear you reflect on some of those points of difference that you think set Archer Materials apart.
Yeah, look, I mean, we first and foremost, we operate here in Australia. I mean, that is one thing. I mean, the one thing that sets us apart is our strength in our IP. The technologies that we're working on are not, you know, fast follower technologies. You don't just get out of bed in the morning and think, oh, hey, I'm going to go build a quantum computing device now. It doesn't work that way. So really, our you know, if you peel away the layers, we have a global competitive advantage with our technologies that we're building, right? You see, and you would have seen that our patents have been progressing in our international patent application prosecution around the world. I mean, these are very high complex processes, legal processes in the US, Korea, and in Japan. We recently had our first patent granted, absolutely amazing. Japan being one of the world's largest economies. In China, Europe, Australia, Hong Kong. So this really shows you the scope of opportunity here and the scale of opportunity that our technologies represent. And the global competitive advantage is there, and it is very, very difficult to erode.
I think the focus so clearly is on that longer term opportunity, the development of the tech through this R&D phase. But I must ask you as well, as the CEO, how much attention are you paying to the share price in the interim? You've had a really solid start, up over 75% as well to start 2021. What are your reflections on the movements of that?
So for me, I say that's great for shareholders, right? I mean, it's fantastic for shareholders. Me as a CEO, I look at our company's growth. I look at what we have to look forward to from now to the year ahead, to the end of the year, to 3 months from now, to 2 years from now, 5 years from now, right? So we really are, as a deep tech company, by our very nature, forward-looking, right? And where I see the company heading is really to grow our team, our wonderful team, grow our IP portfolio across, like you said, our quantum computing technology and our biotech technology, and really hit those breakthrough goals and breakthrough milestones in our technology development and our commercialization. We are on track in our commercialization. We have a solid plan, and over the next 6 months, really looking forward to delivering more on those outcomes commercially, in terms of IP and in terms of our technology development, which really is a world first.
Of course, you've got this streamlining of the assets now as well. So you're focusing just purely on the development of the semiconductor chips. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this pathway towards progression. What are the key growth drivers that investors should be watching for over this next period?
Well, let's put it all in context, right? I mean, we all went through COVID, right? I mean, no one was living anywhere else. I mean, we all went through COVID. We know the importance of technology, and we know that really now technology is a key economic driver, right? So just from an economic point of view, an economic standpoint, we're aligned, right? And where we see our growth in terms of addressing key opportunities within the quantum ecosystem, within the biotechnology space, I think it's really driven by this real kind of growth within mobile devices, mobile technologies, data consumption. It's absolutely huge, absolutely huge. Just crunching numbers as to what your CO2 footprint or your energy footprint is, just sending packets of data back and forth over the internet. It's getting to that point, right, where data is such an important part of our life, and accessing information, processing information, and having that all accessible and in the palm of your hand is absolutely imperative. I mean, on an individual level. So on a larger level than that, on a more grand scale than that, we do see that there is a need for quantum computing, or more highly powerful computing in large scale infrastructure, the infrastructure of, quote unquote, the future, where, I did mention all those different kinds of, really interesting and exciting technologies where you would integrate advanced semiconductor devices.
It's an exciting time with plenty to look forward to.
You got me on a futuristic note, didn't you?
It's always forward looking, mate. There's a lot of opportunities ahead. We'd love to hear for those prospective shareholders who might be looking into the Archer Materials story, or for those who have been on the journey so far. Did you have any final reflections that you wanted to share with them?
I think what you'll see from Archer is that our approach is that we move in a way that's steady, steadfast, and we look to substantiate our claims moving forward, and we always have, right? That is our approach. Our approach is methodical, is strategic, and we, like I said, have a plan, and we are executing on that plan. And to date, it's been going well. And you look back at the last 6 months, and you see some of the wonderful achievements the team has made, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months and year ahead. It's been a wonderful journey, and I'm very happy to have met the chairman of Archer, and to have the opportunity to lead the company on the journey that we've been going through, and where we have to go, and just the opportunities ahead are absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, I can see it in my mind, and I can project it, and we live it, right? And it's such a wonderful just such a wonderful experience for us here at Archer and myself personally to be able to, provide people the opportunity to be a part of this. We are the only ASX listed company that's working on quantum computing, that's building a quantum computing processor chip. I mean, I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and it's one that we are really, really behind, and we're getting some wonderful work done. Yes, we're a small outfit and growing. We're a small outfit for now, right? The work that the team has been doing is absolutely world class. And I'm very proud to be the CEO of Archer. And I think, the things that we have to look forward to in terms of what we're looking to achieve is absolutely mind-blowing.
There's plenty to look forward to. You're playing on the frontier of this next generation technologies. We'll definitely be watching the story for ASX AXE. Dr. Mohammad Choucair, thank you so much for joining us on the channel today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What a pleasure of a conversation that was. A big thank you to Dr. Mohammad Choucair for joining us on the channel. It's always fascinating to be able to discuss and unpack some of these next generation technologies that truly do have the ability to shape the future of the world that we live in. We'd love to know your thoughts as well, so drop in a comment below what you think about Archer Materials and where do you think the ASX AXE story heads from here moving forward. We've previously looked into Archer Materials on the channel, so we'll leave a link to that video up above. We've also interviewed a range of different ASX CEOs, so we'll leave a playlist to those that you can check out after this one. If you're new around here and you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share the video out. We're the ASX Investor channel and we make daily videos talking about the stock market, investing, and we find and analyze the best growth stocks. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you've got your bell notifications turned on as well, so you won't miss a daily episode, and we'd love to have you join the community. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the interview. We'll definitely be watching to see where the ASX AXE story heads from here moving forward. For now, stay well and happy investing.